On this edition of the Iowa Business Report,
we know that small businesses create the majority of new jobs in America, and there's no better place as an example of that than Iowa.
Small business is at the heart of our economy. We'll hear how the federal government aims to help. One Iowa congressman notes how important Iowa's agricultural economy is to the world. And in our business profile, we'll introduce you to an Ankeny company whose federal certification has led to lucrative business. This is the Iowa Business Report for the third weekend of August 2025.
The Iowa Business Report is a copyrighted production of Totally Iowa Media, which is solely responsible for its content. For more, click on the radio programs button at totallyiowa.com. Here is Jeff Stein.
By some estimates, there are more than 272,000 small businesses in Iowa. That's 99.3% of all businesses in the state. And they are huge economic drivers, employing nearly 650,000 people, about 48% of Iowa's total workforce. But growing these businesses can be difficult. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst hosted her third Entrepreneur Expo at Iowa State University in Ames this past Tuesday, a way for Iowa small business owners to learn and network at a variety of levels. Among those participating was the administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration, Kelly Loeffler. We talked about her work prior to the Entrepreneur Expo event.
I'm the product of small business. I was raised on a family farm in central Illinois, grew up working in the fields. My parents had a farm and a small trucking company, worked in Main Street restaurants growing up, and then went on to have a very successful business career and felt so blessed, wanted to give back to public service. And that's why when the president called me and asked me to lead the Small Business Administration, I was humbled and excited to do it. I will tell you the mission of the Small Business Administration is to support the interests of small business and to grow the economy, and that's exactly what we're doing.
What did you find after you got there that either surprised you or was on the list of, okay, we need to make a few changes?
Well, there's a lot in both of those categories. So first of all, the pleasant surprise is the strong public-private partnership that we have at the SBA. It's not about a government service. This is about providing government guarantees for local community bank loans. So it enables and empowers our community lenders to do loans they may not otherwise extend. Right now, we're on a run rate to do about 2,000 loans every single week on Main Street America. Think about the American dream that fuels. On the negative side, what I found when I got to the agency, 90% were working from home. And we said that's not acceptable. Small businesses show up every single day of the week. They do more with less. We're going to do the same. So we reduced our headcount and cut our spending and have actually delivered more results for the American people in terms of small businesses and growing the economy.
You made such an excellent point. If you have a small business, you may lock the door at 5 or 6 or whatever, but that's really the start of your workday, and you don't get to take time off like other people, and so the government needs to set an example if you expect those businesses to follow your rules and procedures.
You're absolutely right. I saw it myself growing up in a small business. I've started many small businesses, grown them into large businesses, and a small business Iowan that I met yesterday reminded me, the small business owner gets paid last. They're taking care of their employees, they're reinvesting in the business, they're supporting our main streets, they're giving back to our Little League teams. They do so much for our communities. So that is why it is such an honor to advocate for them, because small businesses have borne the brunt of massive inflation, high regulation, taxes, and now with the One Big Beautiful Bill, they've got certainty on taxes. We're rolling back regulations. I just was with Administrator Zeldin this morning announcing a major rollback in regulations on farming with regard to some of the emissions, the Tier 4 emissions standards. So it's very exciting to be able to move the needle for our small businesses and farmers. We're talking, roughly 50 Main Street loans every week in Iowa. That's 50 businesses a week that are empowered to hire, to grow, to invest in capital investments and infrastructure for our local communities. We know that small businesses create the majority of new jobs in America, and there's no better place as an example of that than Iowa.
When someone has a business and they want to take it to the next level, they think about going to SBA because it's a well-known acronym, but they might be afraid about, I've got hoops to jump through and it's a government program, etc. What can you say to encourage a business to not buy into the stereotype that may well not be accurate?
Well, it's a great question because we're changing that at the SBA. It's important that we run this like a business. As a businesswoman for 30 years, I know how to turn things around and create real results. That's what we're doing. The SBA isn't just about lending, it's about small business counseling. So you can go to any small business development center, of which there are 1,000 across the country. There's one right here in Ames. You can bring your business plan in and talk to them about it and say, I might be seeking funding, I might need business model ideas, and you can pressure test those before you do take on that loan and approach a bank even. So we try to make it demystified, make it more approachable, and we're going to continue to listen to small businesses and see where their needs are going. One obvious area is the adoption of AI. I've been talking to businesses about how they're bringing AI in to be more productive, to do more with less, and to require less employees, because that is a huge pain point for small businesses, is hiring. We're working with universities across the country. We make sure that we have those resources available to American taxpayers. That's what it's about. We're providing this service because we know that this country was built on small business, it grows on small business, and our main streets rely on it. So we want to do everything possible to fuel that innovative entrepreneurial spirit that makes this country so great.
How do you define, or how does the agency define a small business? Because many of us are products of small businesses in our family, and we could count on one hand, maybe two, the number of employees, but it's a somewhat different definition that's broader from the agency perspective.
That's right. It's quite broad, and it depends on the industry that you're in, what is determined as small, but I can tell you for a manufacturer, you can have up to 1,500 employees. That said, most manufacturers that I visit have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50 to 100. And frankly, most manufacturers in America are small businesses, so we've had a particular focus on that. But it's also your local Main Street businesses that might have 5 or 10 employees, or even solopreneurs. That's that single person that is delivering a product or service that people rely on.
With that wide range of opportunities, employee size, etc., what's the best first step for someone to take if they say either, and there's multiple questions here, I want to start my own business, I want to expand my business, I just want to know if I'm on the right track. How is it that they can make that initial connection?
Well, I'd obviously encourage anyone to reach out to the SBA or local SBA. We have 68 field offices across the country and one in every state and territory. So we make it easy to be there, but really how people are connecting with us is through our website at sba.gov. There's a wealth of information there. But as you're thinking about building your own business, research has never been easier to do using AI to size the addressable market, to look at the competitive set in your space, to think about what opportunities there might be gaps in that you could fill based on your skill sets and what you bring to bear. And then, obviously implementing some automated tools into building that business to test the market feedback, build a beta test that you take out to friends and family and get their feedback and bring it into an SBDC and see what they think about that. And then obviously talking to a lender to think about how do they look at a commercialized business and lending and what the cost of that would be.
If we're here in a year and we're talking about changes, differences in SBA and how it relates to people, what do you hope we're talking about? What do you have as goals for the next 12 months?
Well, that's a great question because we're already looking ahead, having gotten so much done. We've restored the mission of the agency. We're setting records in terms of loan productivity. We're bringing back that accountability into this agency so that taxpayers can trust that their tax dollars are being wisely spent. But we're also implementing programs like the Made in America Manufacturing Act, which doubles the size of manufacturing loans as we return advanced manufacturing to this country. We had seen our nation hollowed out in terms of 70,000 factories lost, 5 million jobs. I think we're on the precipice of what we'll call a new collar boom. That's the convergence of the physical manufacturing world with the innovations that smart manufacturing is bringing. It's been great to see these factories, as I travel across America, maybe a 50-person factory in central Indiana building bikes. We were just at a great SBIR company in Cedar Rapids yesterday, developing cancer-fighting drugs. This has been started with a small number of employees through an SBIR grant. So we want to see real progress on this innovation front in the next 12 months.
Kelly Leffler is administrator of the SBA, the Small Business Administration, online at sba.gov. We spoke in Ames on Tuesday, August 12th. Still to come, the view from Congress, and later, a connected construction company. You're listening to the Iowa Business Report.
Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery. It can affect anyone, and unfortunately, it does happen in Iowa. This is Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate asking you to help us make Iowa a trafficking-free state by joining IBAT, Iowa Businesses Against Trafficking. IBAT members are taking a stand against this crime. They learn something and they do something about human trafficking in their communities every year. Through staff training and outreach opportunities, IBAT participants are better able to recognize the signs of trafficking and who to contact. For more information, go to ibat.iowa.gov. That's ibat.iowa.gov. This is Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate reminding you to learn something, to do something, and make a difference.
This message provided by the Office of the Iowa Secretary of State. Welcome back to the Iowa Business Report. I'm Jeff Stein. One member of Iowa's U.S. House delegation participated in the Entrepreneur Expo, 4th District Congressman Randy Feenstra. We talked about key issues related to the Iowa economy.
We're the breadbasket to the world, and everybody has to understand that we are a global world and that we feed China, we feed Australia, we feed India and all these other countries, and we've got to be on the forefront. We feed Mexico on hogs and corn and things like that, and we have to make sure that we're still on the cutting edge of not having other countries like Brazil and Argentina bypassing us in these export markets. And that's why we have to be very focused on getting these trade deals done, and I'm working with our U.S. Trade Representative Greer and Becent, the Treasury, on making sure that corn and soybeans, cattle, hogs, dairy all get involved in the export market agreements.
One of the things that businesses, no doubt, talked to you about, but they've talked to me about it, was uncertainty through the year. And then once the reconciliation bill was passed, okay, now they've got a bit of certainty that they need with the tax laws. But my sense is they're still nervous and sitting on some cash. So what can you, as a former state senator, as a current congressman, say to these businesses to assure them that it's okay to be open for business?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, we passed the new tax structure, and most of it's all permanent, so we know what's going to happen in year 1, year 5, year 10. It's not going away, it's permanent. So that creates one part of certainty. The other part of certainty is finalizing trade deals. And talking with the administration, we believe in the next 6 weeks to 2 months that most of these trade deals are going to get finished. So that means we're going to have certainty in our trade component and establishing more export markets, and with the incentives that we have in this tax package, it is just ready for growth and development. I mean, you think of immediate expensing. If anybody builds a new facility, whether it be agriculture or manufacturing, I mean, that's huge cash flow ability for these businesses. And I just say, take the jump, take the plunge, do it in Iowa, and keep our kids here. That is the goal that we want to have the vision and create in this great state.
The reconciliation bill did include some provisions for the ag sector, things that are normally in the farm bill, so that let up a little bit of the immediate pressure, but it's in no way a substitute.
No, but we did some great things. Obviously, we increased our reference prices, so when prices are so low right now, that will help the farmer and the reference prices. We protected crop insurance. Again, there's crop insurance out there. That's protected. That's very vital. We also completely redid the SNAP program, requiring work that people have to work to get SNAP program. This is very important. Now that we're going to do the Farm Bill coming up, we don't have to deal with the SNAP program. So as we start working on that new Farm Bill, when it comes to conservation and research, we can focus specifically on those parts. Then finally, especially on the Farm Bill, we also did it in the reconciliation, the MAP and FMD programs. These are the export market programs to get our product out into the export markets. And we doubled those programs, again, to make sure that we find new places for our products.
Obviously, the SNAP provision is something that gets the urban lawmakers interested in a farm bill. With that removed, which was appropriate, now you've got to get them around the table at the same time. Oh, wait, another government shutdown if people want to be obstructionist when you get back to town. So how do you see this play out the rest of this year?
Well, as you said, we're going to get back to town at the end of August, and we got to pass a budget. The budget is due by September 30, and we'll make sure we get it done. However, we also understand that we have a $37 trillion debt, so we have to be fiscally responsible, and we got to start cutting. And that's what this budget's going to do, and we're going to work toward getting it across the finish line, working with both the Senate and the administration and the House. And we'll get it done.
How confident are you about the Farm Bill part? The budget is one thing, the Farm Bill is something else.
Yeah, I tell you what, now with the SNAP provision, the nutrition provision out of the Farm Bill, talking with the ranking member of the Democrat side, Angie Craig from Minnesota, I think we all believe that we'll get a Farm Bill done maybe late September, early October. There's not a lot there. It'll be a skinny Farm Bill because everything was done in reconciliation. So I think we can get the rest of the components done.
Iowa 4th District Congressman Republican Randy Feenstra and I spoke in Ames on Tuesday, August 12th. Feenstra is expected to seek his party's nomination for governor in 2026, but no official announcement has yet been made. Coming up, from government service to serving government. You're listening to the Iowa Business Report.
As we recognize the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II this summer, you'll want to read the July-August issue of Iowa History Journal to learn about Iowa State's role in developing the atomic bomb that helped end the war. Our new issue also features other stories about Iowa that you won't find in other magazines. Pick it up at Barnes & Noble, Hy-Vee, Books A Million, Natural Grocers, Beaverdale Books, and other outlets, or visit iowahistoryjournal.com to order today.
Welcome back to the Iowa Business Report. I'm Jeff Stein. As noted, a number of Iowa small business owners attended the event in Ames this past Tuesday. One told me he directly benefited from his attendance at last year's event and from connecting with federal agencies.
My name's Sam Yoder. I own a service-disabled, veteran-owned construction company called Fidelis Construction. We're out of Ankeny, Iowa. And last year I attended the expo and realized kind of the reach that Senator Ernst had within the SBA, within the Small Business Administration. And she said, if you ever need help, reach out. Well, it just so happened in January of this year I needed help with a certification that was taking a really long time with the SBA. And so I reached out to her office, and to my surprise, same day got a response from somebody on her staff named John. John reached back out to me. He was able to help me within 24 hours that my certification was through, approved, and so she was very useful and actually ended up winning a contract because of that.
Which is outstanding, and that's the thing that can make or break a small business.
Absolutely. Being able to actually get those opportunities and have the right certifications in place when you apply for them is really important, and I was coming up on the deadline. Everything had been submitted, but the SBA was taking months and months and months to approve, and within a day I had it approved.
What led you to contact them to begin with? And I've already talked to the administrator and others about the stereotype of government red tape. Sounds like it's not a stereotype for you, but what led you to consult them to begin with? They say things are better now, but irrespective of that, what led you to reach out and say, this is the next step for my business?
Really, it was just, I knew I wanted to apply for this opportunity with the EPA, and you had the certification in place to do that. My company has the capabilities to approve that, and it was just so cumbersome and been so long before the approval had come through that I just remembered what she had said in her speech last year. Said, hey, if you need help and you're a constituent, reach out. And I did, and they were able to help.
So what did you obtain then after you got the SBA certification that has led your business on this new trajectory?
We were able to apply for a contract and actually win that contract under that small business set-aside certification.
How long have you been in business, and what led you to decide to start this?
I've been in business since 2021 in the construction industry. Grew up in the trades. I was a Marine as well, so that's why I have the certification. And just really looking for more opportunities to grow the small business. And the government is a great space, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done within the VA, within the EPA, and those are where my primary points of interest are.
Talk about how many employees you have and what you're planning to do in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sure. Right now we have 5 employees, and we're a small business in the basically bidding contracts within the $5 to $15 million range. So we're growing pretty rapidly. We have several contracts in place now, and that all came since we had that certification and the help from the Senator Ernst's office.
It is a daunting task to start your own business. It's like jumping off a cliff in a number of respects. Yes. What kind of business counseling or advice were you able to obtain so that if somebody listening to this is saying, well, I've always wanted to do that, what did you do to get right off the ground?
Well, really, listening to the advice they talk about at this conference we're at right now, with reaching out to your local Apex providers from the same university, and they will really put you on the right path to the steps you need to take in order to really establish your small business to work with the federal government. But just from a small business standpoint, just really wanting to contribute to the economy, control your own time, really is the driving force to becoming a business owner.
So as you look at the expansion, the possibility of doing additional things, what are the things that lead you to be more positive about doing that now than might have been the case a year or 3 ago?
Honestly, the speed that I was able to get help from my senator when I reached out was very helpful, very encouraging. I'm hearing today Director Zeldin talk about what they're doing for restrictions and rolling those back and allowing more room for business and small business to grow, and the tax structure. All those things lead to be very positive over the next several years.
If people are interested in your business, where can they go to learn more?
FidelisConstructionCo.com, and we're local here in the Midwest.
Sam Yoder of Fidelis Construction of Ankeny, online at FidelisConstructionCo.com. We spoke at the Entrepreneur Expo hosted by U.S. Senator Joni Ernst at Iowa State University in Ames on Tuesday, August 12th. And that brings us to the close of this week's program. We're back again next week at this same time. Support for the Iowa Business Report comes from the Iowa Business Council, a nonpartisan nonprofit organization working to elevate Iowa's economy through leadership, research, and advocacy. Learn more and review the group's latest quarterly member survey by going to iowabusinesscouncil.org. We welcome your comments. Send them by email to radio@totallyiowa.com. I'm Jeff Stein. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a prosperous week.
The Iowa Business Report is a copyrighted production of Totally Iowa Media, which is solely responsible for its content. For more, click on the radio programs button at totallyiowa.com.